is significantly far enough away from any of the torching trees up there to keep it from igniting. One of the things that I want to point out here with this boardwalk is, once again, if it's attached to the house, it's part of the house, which means that if this outbuilding here was highly susceptible to ignition, as you'll notice that they've got it rocked around the bottom so that there is no vegetation, no flammables next to that structure. Not only if that structure was burning would it jeopardize the house because it's so close, but it could ignite this wood walkway, which over the amount of time that the conditions existed could come down the walkway and right into the house. It would take maybe hours to burn this house down, but when people came back they would find their house totally destroyed just for something like this. Well, Sonny, here we're at an area of houses before potentially a fire is going to be coming here, and we'll be taking a look at how these structures might fare with fire. We'll start off with this wood pile. Remember before I mentioned that anything that's attached to the home is part of the home. In this particular case, what we're looking at is a huge amount of wood that is cribbed here underneath a protection, but it's pretty much attached. In this particular case, it's to the garage, and this garage is in high jeopardy, even though they've got no vegetation and a rock foundation which protects really the log structure, and we've got quite a bit of clearance from the potential canopy the canopy that might potentially ignite. Nevertheless, we've got the wood pile here that can catch firebrands that are lofted, potentially ignite that, and that pretty well dooms this entire structure. Well, as we go along from the wood pile, which is not a good idea to be where it's at, and we move along, they've been doing some activity in here. And the activity of cleanup is a good idea, but one of the things that really needs to be a concern is to not focus so much out there on the forest that you start missing little things. It's the little things that also matter, and lots of little things. One little thing, for example, might not be a significant problem, but lots of little things, it's a little bit like a crapshoot. A small item is a low probability, but as you increase the number of items that can ignite and potentially ignite the structure from that, you just have a higher likelihood of it burning the whole structure down. So for example, here there's been wood cutting activity going on, doing some clearing, but a lot of the chips have been left right here underneath the wooden doors. And this potentially, it's pretty dry material, and it's been broken up so that it potentially could be an ignition bed for firebrands, for those lofted burning embers. And if this flames, it can begin then to catch in this treated lumber. And it may not burn right away, but because of the way the door is here, it can begin to burn in the cracks, burn on both sides of the door, and a few hours later consume the structure. They've put rocks in along here that help out with regard to, potentially blocking fire from coming in here. But one of the things they haven't done is they haven't screened under this decking. And as I mentioned before, the decking goes all the way around. Well, if we look at this garage, it's also physically attached to the home back here. So this garage represents this home. Well, one of the things that can happen is that we've got a wood plate here that's holding this brace that holds the rest of the deck, and there are pine needles that have accumulated. In fact, lots of pine needles have accumulated, which can potentially then ignite, work its way up inside, potentially catch the deck on fire, this walkway, and which can then potentially catch the home on fire, either through the garage or just follow the decking around. But here we come to the firewood pile right on the front porch, and this is definitely a problem. You know, it's amazing how during a heavy firebrand fallout, of what I call a firebrand blizzard, how these wood piles just continually catch on fire, just everywhere. And so this is a very serious problem. Let's go over here and take a look at some of the landscaping. One of the things that occurs with junipers, and this really isn't too bad because it's been well irrigated and it's still pretty small, and also it's far enough away from the house where it's probably not a problem. But there are a lot of places where much larger patches of juniper than this are right up against the house, and the huge problem is, take a look at all the dead material in here. The firebrands come in, they fall down, and they have a perfect mat of dead vegetation with which to ignite the rest of this shrub. Well, we've got some interesting possibilities here with these junipers.